Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching in the world. Welcome along to TTL F1 within the 16th season, round number 9. And we go now to the Japanese Grand Prix here at the legendary Suzuka circuit. My name is Kieran McGinley, and joining me in the commentary box is the lovely Mr. James Head. James, it's been a while for me. I'm glad to be back. 3 rounds to go. How are you?
I'm doing really well, yeah. First off, I just want to apologise for last week. It was, yeah, my internet died halfway through the formation up, so that's why you didn't get a race. I'm sorry, but other than that, I'm doing well.
Oh, fantastic stuff. And, well, obviously, a lot's happened since we've been away, James. We've had a rerun of the Belgian Grand Prix. That's where I left off. Much cleaner that time. It went well, I thought, that time. Then we had the Singapore Grand Prix. And now we come here to Japan. 3 rounds to go then. And if I'm just having a quick look at the table here, I've caught myself out here while trying to look at the table. But Drivers' Championship as it stands then, Recon on 105 with Navy on 89, Carlsbury in 3rd on 88 with Warren in 4th on 80 points, Calsper in 5th on 50 with Spike in 6th on 45, King J in 7th on 37 with Draw in 8th on 35, Lighty and Toxic tied for 9th place, both on 34 points. Mashiro is in 11th on 30 points, Sean in 12th on 24, Key in 13th on 15 points, Rafa in 14th with 13 points, although he is a reserve driver. Cass in 15th, tied with the Gort, they're both on 12 points. Chaos is in 17th on 8 points, Maze as a reserve, they're in 18th on 6 points, Jeffrey in 19th and Mercedes on 3 points. Looking at the constructors' standings then, well, Racing Point are showing some, they've had some good pre-season form in the 2020 season. They're having a great time here in TTL F1 this season round. They are leading the way, 137 points to Ferrari's 2nd place of 123. Then it's Alfa Romeo in 3rd place on 112, McLaren in 4th on 89, Red Bull in 5th on 78 points, Haas in 6th on 71, Renault in 7th on 63 with Mercedes in 8th on 58, Toro Rosso in 9th on 53, and Williams rounds it out on 42 points. Just to cover some new drivers and slash reserve drivers, some of the drivers driving for next season have been allowed to be given reserve seats. Reserve seats haven't really been around in TTL since a couple of seasons ago. We've had permanent drivers, not really many reserve drivers. That bucks the trend this season. We've brought in reserve drivers for the last 3 rounds and seeing if we can encourage and get these drivers ready for the next season to come. So Chaos is taking over at the Mercedes. I believe Cass is a new introduction. I believe that's the case. We've also got Toxic, who's moved up to a full-time seat in Red Bull. Shapalele is in the Renault as well. Feel free to just jump in and correct me if I'm wrong here, but we're counting down in towards the race here. And James, a couple of fresh faces, a couple of reserve drivers, but still the old familiars are at the top of the championship. How do you see the Japanese round going then?
Honestly, if it's anything like the previous couple of rounds, I honestly see it as being too close to call. Because you can see the championship standings, the evidence is there. Recon on 105, Navy on 89, Carlsbury on 88, Warren on 80. They're all here tonight. Calsper, who I think is an outside contender for the championship with 3 races to go, could still do it. He's been getting some good form, and he won last time out in the Singapore race as well. And it's going to be really interesting to see how these guys get on out on track. And I think, on paper, I say it pretty much every week, but on paper, this should be the rest of the season.
Oh,
I've said it again. I've said it again.
Said it again, absolutely. Well, looking at the weather here in Suzuka, it's a bit cloudy, bit overcast, but there are some blue skies on the horizon there, so hopefully we get some good track running here. The pit lane is covered in a mountain of shade, to be honest with you, with the pit window or the pit lane building overlooking it. But the track on the right-hand side looks like there's some sun on it, so hopefully there's a bit of temperature in the track, and hopefully we can get some good lap times here on the board. And who will be the first to emerge from their garage and making their way out towards this legendary Suzuka circuit? And it looks like it is a Racing Point here, and that is either going to be Vitinho or it is going to be Calsper, and it is Vitinho making his way now down towards the pit lane exit. and it re-emerges here for the Japanese Grand Prix and for qualifying here at the legendary Suzuka circuit, riding on board with the Brazilian here as he makes his way through turn 2. And obviously, James, it's a track that really depends on high aero, especially this first S section.
Yeah, the drivers have got to get the setup right, especially through this first section. You can see the S section, how hunkered down the car will actually be going through depends obviously on the wings and the aerodynamics of the car. Hopefully everyone is going to run a very similar setup. Obviously, I don't expect it to be just the same completely for all of the drivers. They will have their own areas, they'll have their own expertise in those for their setups, and hopefully we will see a very competitive qualifying, which I normally see around here in Japan every single time I come here.
Well, there you go then. Overcast section as we head towards the spoon curve then, riding on board with Vitinho as he now navigates and negotiates his way through. And obviously 16 drivers here tonight. Vitinho now making his way on towards that legendary 130R. In the old days, you used to have to lift off through this corner up until about, 11th, Keaton 12th, Jeffrey 13th with Sean 14th, Cass in 15th, and Carsbury could have been right up there actually, but he was disqualified from the session, so he'll have to start from the back of the grid. He'll be ruining that one because, obviously he was right up there on the front row of the grid, and that could be a moment for Carsbury there to really think back on. Obviously, I would assume he never wanted to drive backwards around the circuit. I think he made a mistake at the Dunlop curve, tried to rejoin the track, and for whatever reason, he's been given the black flag by the stewards. So he has to start from the back of the grid. There's nothing he can do about it now. He's just got to stay focused.
Yeah, Carsbury obviously is within the championship fight as well, so that is going to cost him in terms of mentality, I think. But hopefully he will do it. And I think it's not the first time he's done it this season, if I recall. I'm sure earlier on in the season, it might have been China, I think it was, where he also reversed and got disqualified from the qualifying session.
It does ring a bell, doesn't it? But, well, here we are then.
He's unlucky.
Japanese Grand Prix. We do need a Mr. James top 3 for this Grand Prix.
Ooh.
Can we make that a thing? I don't know. Are we going to make
James
it a
top 3? May as well.
James top 3 for the Grand Prix. Let's do it.
My top 3, oh my god. I never get my predictions right anyways. It is a bit overcast actually out on track. Are we going to get rain in the race, I wonder? I'm going to check the comments just to make sure. And I think third, if I was to go for a bit of an outsider, let's put him in. Carsbury for third.
Carsbury for third. So the man starting at the back of the grid on those medium tyres on the alternate strategy. James has gone for P3. Well, let us know who you think is going to win here in the Japanese Grand Prix here for TTL F1. And make sure you give your full support for your favourite driver, or maybe even your favourite team here in TTL F1. But as Recon makes his way now on towards that start-finish line, of course, the grid slot here for pole position is on the left-hand side. A bit of controversy about that over the years, of course. However, it is on the racing line nowadays. But you are on the outside for turn 1, so you've still got to make sure that you can get the traction down and make sure you've got enough grip in those rear tyres to help you get that launch off the line. But we're just waiting for that last Alfa Romeo to take his slot now on the start-finish line. And it might take him a little bit of time then to make his way to the last grid slot here.
He doesn't want to rush, does he?
He doesn't want to rush. No, take the scenic route. By all means. Anyway, well, with the last Alfa Romeo on the grid, it means we are moments away from the Japanese Grand Prix here in TTL F1. And Recon now will be looking up at those 5 red lights. Well, they will come on eventually to signal the start of the 9th round of TTL F1. And here they are then in sequence. Here we go then. It is 5 red lights. We are underway, and what are the starts like? It looks like it's a clean start from everybody then as we make our way down towards turn 1. Carsbury's got the jump then on Recon as we head towards turn 1. He's got the inside line and he's got the lead here of the Japanese Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Warren here has lost out to Shapalele. He might lose out to Navy here as well as he looks to move up a position. Navy gets that position away from Warren as well. King J then up to 7th place after that start. Good start from him, but you can see that Spike trying to go up the inside of Mashiro there. The door was always closing. He had to back out of that one as we head through the Dunlop curve for the first time then. And you can see lots of cars going side by side then as we head towards the first Degner as Mashiro goes up the inside of King J into Degner 1 there. I don't think King J would have seen that one coming at all. We've got yellow flags in sectors 1 and 2. It's a Mercedes that's off. It is Jeffrey that is off on behind. And King J onto the grass. Can he slow it down in time? He just makes contact with Vitinho there, but that could have ended a lot worse for King J there. I think he's just a little bit rattled right now. He might still have grass on those tyres. He's just got to take a couple of laps or at least a couple of corners to make sure those tyres are scrubbed clean. But he's now back down to P11 as we make our way through that spoon curve. But Kalsper, what a great start he had from the so-called dirty side of the track. He now leads here in Japan, heading through 130R for the first time. Onwards to start the final lap here of the Japanese Grand Prix. 27th and final time here for the Japanese Grand Prix, flying through full throttle for the last.
Back to back to back wins. Took it in Belgium, took it in Singapore.
Navy in 6th, Spike then in 7th with Sean in 8th, Vitinho 9th, and Jeffrey did get that point at the end there. The Court, Toxic, Warren, Key, Cass, King J all retired from the race then, and I believe the fastest lap of the race went to the only person who got into the 129s. It was Carlsbury, who will get himself an extra point towards his championship tally towards the end of the season. Well, only 2 rounds to go. Recon had a good race then. He finished ahead of all of his championship rivals and extends his lead at the top of the championship. A good day for the Dutchman.
Great day for the Dutchman. Of course, that contact, I think, might have just set him back with Kalsper, but you can't argue with the result. Kalsper, clearly the quicker man out on track, clearly had the pace on Recon, and clearly won a treble out on track, because obviously he took Belgium, Singapore, and now here in Japan. And what a win for him as well. And that, as I said earlier on, that has bumped him up in the championship standings. He's going to be about 50 points off going into the final 2 races. He might be mathematically out of it, but it looks a lot of promise for this season if he signed up. If he hasn't, sign up, because I want to see you next season.
And that is a James demand. We don't get many of them, but you have to follow them. Hopefully you have enjoyed tonight's action, and if you have and you want to see more, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Lots going on here at TTTV. Make sure you are subscribed as well, and hit the notification bell so you're notified every time there's a race here on TTTV. Next time we go live will be tomorrow. I believe we'll be joined by the lovely Mr. James Head.
Yeah, TTL F2 Challenge Cup will be on tomorrow night. It is Australia and China tomorrow night. I think it's from... I'm just going to check the time, just to correct myself, because I was going to say 7 o'clock, and I'm not sure what time it is. But I'll confirm that now, and it doesn't have a time up, which is absolutely fantastic. Anyways, join me tomorrow. It'll be on at some point. It'll probably be either 7 or 8 o'clock.
Yeah, and all the more reason to put the notification bell on so you know exactly when James is going live. And he has said 8 o'clock, so there you go. So don't miss that one either. Make sure you are subscribed to the league as well on Twitter. Subscribe to the league. I really have been away for too long. Make sure you follow the league on Twitter at TTL_F1. If you like the commentary team, I don't know how you like me, but you can also follow me if you like at KS McGinley. That's McGinley. And you can also follow Mr. James Head on Twitter as well at B52Head. That's Bravo 52 Head. Well, James, quite an interesting return for myself. Lots of mistakes everywhere you looked. But it's good to be back.
It's fantastic to be back, and I think we were treated to an overall a very good race. The first couple of laps, obviously, there was a bit of bumping and barging, a bit of scrimmaging about, but that's what you come to expect in Formula 1 racing, and especially in TTL F1, where the grid is so talented. Hopefully, we are going to get a repeat of that next week in the USA, where hopefully we will see a lot of overtakes. Yeah,
and a track that's designed for drivers to make overtakes. It should be a great one. So make sure you do join us next week for the US Grand Prix for the penultimate round of this season of TTL F1. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I've been Kieran McGinley.
I've been James Head.
Take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time.